and welcome. My name is Aniqa and I'm a sports trainee journalist of Social Sports Group. Today we have with us the lovely Cherise Sullivan, who's agreed to speak with us. That you would say that you liked sports then, but maybe didn't like so much doing it at school.
Oh, it's because you're this size that you couldn't do this. It was just, oh, you didn't do it this time, but you can try again. Yeah. So it felt a lot easier to do it with family than to, I guess, be vulnerable at school. Because it was a very vulnerable thing for me, I think. And
it's interesting how you would disassociate yourself from that vulnerability when doing drama, which is essentially you're training to perform in front of an audience. And again, that audience can be harsh and judgmental, but maybe from what I'm getting from the discussion, the differentiation comes then is in your acting skills, is in your performance rather than your physical appearance or your body. It takes, for you, the focus is not on that, whereas in sports, maybe the focus was on your physical appearance and how you're moving your body.
I think for me, the difference was mainly that when you're acting, you're not being yourself. So if they didn't like it, I could think, oh, it's the character that they don't like, it's not me. So that was like a big difference between, obviously, when you're playing sports, you are yourself playing sports. You're not a character playing sports. So I wasn't able to put like a barrier between any comments, like mean comments that were made and myself. So
I think one of the factors that plays into it as well is growing up, whenever we saw women who did sports, they always had a certain body type, they always looked a certain polished way and they almost looked perfect while participating in these sports. You didn't see sweaty women, you didn't see curvy big women. Those were not the women that we saw doing sports. We saw the slim and almost like women toned bodies and everything, and that wasn't something that anyone like around myself, I did not see that in reality. So you almost disassociate yourself from that sports because of that. Have you seen the campaign This Girl Can? They've got some ads on TV. Is that something that you've watched or heard of?
Yeah, it is. I found that honestly very eye-opening because I think I very much did distance myself from sports. Even though like occasionally we did play it as a family. Growing up, we did do it less and less. Like it was more like a kid thing than like an adult thing. So I did distance myself from it, and actually seeing that made me think, okay, there are people that look like me that are still doing exercise and enjoying it and not being judged, and like they're having fun and they're getting all of these endorphins that I've been depriving myself of. And I was like, okay, I can do this. So I thought the campaign was amazing. I did. It was very eye-opening.
Yeah, I think the great, what you said about the end of it, the great thing about it is as soon as you do it, it makes you feel great. It doesn't matter how it went. I decided to take up running a while ago, and I was really I had no stamina, but I still felt great. You don't have to be great at it to get that feeling if you're just going, and that's the most amazing part of it. Leading on from that, when you found out you were pregnant, did you decide, because a lot of women do then, especially when it comes to pelvic maybe exercises as well, some women are interested in trying this out or even doing some exercises that helps your birthing process, or even just to get your body in a more condition that's ready for birth maybe?
I didn't look into pelvic like floor exercises specifically. But I was recommended by my stepmom to try pregnancy Pilates, and so I did like some YouTube videos of that every day or every few days, depending on how tired I was feeling that day. It definitely did help, like, to keep me moving, because there were times when I just wanted to sit down and I was like, this is heavy and annoying. And it's
carrying this baby inside me all the time.
Like there are two babies and it's so much.
Do you think it would make a difference to you if you had those classes in person? Maybe because it can make a difference, whether that's because YouTube does have a lot of resources available, and obviously it's free as for us. It's on the time that we can, that's free to us. So, you know, we don't have a schedule where every day we have to do it at a certain time. We can decide when we have a free moment and just do it at that time. So obviously doing it from home does have that benefit for it. But would you have found it more beneficial to have a class in person to attend and maybe help you stick to a schedule better that way? What would you have preferred if you had the choice?
I personally prefer going with like the YouTube route, but again, it goes back to only really being able to do exercise around people that I'm comfortable with. So being in a group of strangers doing exercise is really uncomfortable for me. So like, I mean, a few years ago, I did start going to the gym, and I enjoyed it. I absolutely loved it. And then one day I was on the treadmill and a couple of girls were laughing, and I was like, okay, that's it. Not going to the gym anymore, ever. Like, that's it. So it kind of like brought up all of those feelings from school again. And I was like, yeah, no, that's not going to happen. We'll work at home. That's fine.
No, and that's horrible that they did that, because that was like a positive space for you. And that interaction just made it so negative that you were like, you know, you don't want to. And actually going to the gym is something I find it intimidating to think about it now, because I feel like if I go in there, I don't know how to use anything. I don't know what I want to do, even my body, obviously every woman has goals, you know, we are all trying, and it's not so much for other people, but it's for us ourselves to try to be healthy, to maintain a healthy lifestyle, that we want to achieve certain things with our physical activity goals.
Definitely.
Do you think if you had someone to go with the gym, because for a lot of people, like for myself as well, like I said, physical activities that I do is a way for me to socialize as well. So if you had someone who was going to the gym in your life, would you be then happy to go back with them? Do you think that would be the push that would make you accept it and embrace maybe that part if you wanted to?
I think that would definitely help. Like having someone with me to, I guess, like just go through it with me would make a huge difference. Just like with my confidence as well, like having someone else there that I know isn't judging me, is there just to, I guess, support me. It would definitely be a huge help. Yeah.
There are a lot of mum groups actually, or particularly in London. There's so many, and a lot of the times what happens is that when women become parents or when they become mothers, you know, a lot of your friends aren't necessarily going through the same phase in their life that you are, and that might make it difficult for you guys to meet up, or even to do the same sort of things together that you used to do before. And what women have found is that joining these mum groups lets them make plans as parents, but also as plans for themselves. So they obviously, you know, they understand what the other mums are going through. Therefore, it's a community group where everyone is in the same boat, per se.
Yeah.
Did you ever look into joining something like that? Was that something you even thought about?
Recently, I've been thinking about it now that the boys are a bit bigger and I'm not constantly breastfeeding. It's a lot easier to get things done.
They do need feeding every couple of hours, don't they? So that takes up your...
So it's especially when there's two, like you have even less time.
You just swapping them around. You're like, I'm done with one and the other one's ready.
Exactly. And if not, then like I usually do them both at the same time just to try and get some time to myself.
Makes sense.
So it's not been something that I've found feasible up until recently, now that they've started like solid foods, so they're breastfeeding a lot less than they used to. Like they only breastfeed like 4 or 5 times during the day now.
And in comparison, how much was that in the first few months of their birth?
First few months, easily every hour. It was intense.
Your whole day is pretty much, who needs milk next?
Yeah, exactly. That is completely it. And so like it was to the point where I was eating my dinner over their heads, like because I had no time to myself whatsoever. Yeah, it was hard. It's a lot easier now.
I can imagine that. So maybe going forward now, is that something you think that sounds intriguing or interesting for you? Maybe a mum's group?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. And if there are a lot of different things that they do, and if you don't have one that's doing something that you like, you can easily start. When I looked into this, it was really, really easy. I'm not even a mum, and I was like, how do you start a mum group? It's really easy.
Oh dear.
Yeah, and you can, I thought that was a great thing because, I mean, as a child, I never saw my mum, from my mother, her whole life was her kids. And I love her so much for it. She gave everything for her kids. But as an adult, I realized that she didn't leave a lot of time for herself. Yeah. And maybe she doesn't feel that she missed out or anything, because she says, she's happiest when she's spending time with me, when she's time with my sister or my brother. If her family is content, she's content. She's like the best mother ever. But I feel that, maybe as an adult, I can't imagine right now being like that. I feel like I would certainly want some me time. So I think to myself, maybe I should have encouraged my mum now. Mum, do you want to go out, make some friends, do something, just get her out there a little bit and do something that just she enjoys. But it's a struggle for me to find that for her, because she's like, she wants to go out with me, which is great. I love it. But it's that's why I think to myself, a mum group is a great, you do make friends. I would for sure recommend, just see what the mums group are nearby, and just join them, because online they all seem so friendly and welcoming, and they had, we go here, we go there, we go for coffee afterwards or whatnot. And a lot of times the moms would bring their kids with them, so it's not even something you have to do separately. I mean,
we've got there's a twin mum group that I do go to. Well, I did go to. We had like coffee days every Wednesday, and we'd take the twins as well. It was at a church that had like a coffee dispensary sort of thing, and they'd just and obviously because it's a church, it's huge, there's loads of space for all of the twins. So it was really good, like being able to go there. It was amazing being able to meet mums, especially twin mums. I mean,
that's an experience on a whole another level.
It's interesting. Like it's only like people who have twins that understand what it's like to have twins, or more.
If you've got like triplets, you're like, you beat me. Yeah,
you win. Keep it. I'm happy.
So, what was the reason that you ended up she stopped going to those meetings? Because it sounds like you really enjoyed them.
Yeah, no, I did. We all absolutely loved it, but the church closed down for the lockdown.
Of course,
and so like we've still got a WhatsApp group. We still like message each other, but it's not the same as actually getting together and getting out of the house.
And I guess it's a different experience, because you're talking to, like, yes, you're with your partner or with your kids, but when you're talking to other adults, it's a different socializing experience than just being in the home. So I can appreciate that, and I'm glad you had that, because it sounds like a great thing. Going forward, your boys are quite young. They're 11 months, you said. What are their names again?
Noah and Elijah.
Such nice names, Noah and Elijah. They're nice names. I love it. And they're biblical, right?
Yeah.
Obviously, they're 11 months right now, so this is not urgent, I would say, thing that should be on your mind. But, research has shown if parents are more active, if you're 1% active, for example, your kids, will make your child be 10% active just by seeing you have that 1%. Yeah. Is that something you've thought about going forward, how you're going to represent that to your kids and how you're going to try to encourage them? Because most children, have to have some sort of encouragement to get into sports, even if they are, it's maybe the 10% that are naturally inclined towards going towards these things. The other 90% have to see some sort of role models, whether in their family, and generally parents are the best role models for their children in these cases. Is that something you've given a thought to?
It is, yeah, definitely. And like recently I have done a lot more exercise than I have previously, simply because I want to be a good role model for them. Like, I want them to see exercise and sports as something enjoyable, something that is an addition to your life, not something that you have to do. Like something that's really positive, something that brings families together, you know? Like in my head, I've got like this idea of us doing like yoga together on a Sunday and like going for hikes on Saturdays. It just
sounds great.
Yeah. Like I'm not the sort of, I don't think I'll ever be the sort of person that's like, yeah, let's go for a run. Like running to me is like next level torture. I absolutely abhor running, but I will happily walk for miles and miles.
Now your babies just need a diaper change in the middle of that walk.
But also something that isn't really spoken about a lot when it comes to pregnancies, it happens more to twin pregnancies just because of the amount of weight on the pelvis. But I got really bad PGP, pelvic girdle pain, and it's supposed to get better once you have your children, but for me it didn't, and so I've needed physio to try and get my hips back to how they were, basically. So like in the beginning of like when they were first born, I was in pain after walking for like 15 minutes, where I used to walk for like hours on end just for fun. And it was really distressing, actually, not being able to do what I was able to do before. I thought, as soon as I have them, I'm going to go back to normal. It's going to be great. I'll do all the walking. It's going to be amazing. And it just didn't happen. It was just so disheartening for me to not be able to have that to fall back on, because it was kind of meditative for me, I think, as well.
You expect your body to at least be a bit more, because this is not something, like you said, that you can control, and you know you have kids, so in your head you're mentally prepared to, okay, I'm going to start going back to doing some sort of physical activity so I can start going back to a healthier version of myself. Because being pregnant, your body, we're carrying so much, and then you're carrying the double of that. So that's a lot. So because you don't realize how important representation is as a child, you don't even notice that it's missing from you, that there's a lack of something, until you know, and it affects us without us even knowing what's affecting us. So it's great to see that you are thinking so much about your physical activity in terms of what you can do with your kids. You know, to any new mom out there, I would definitely say you should take some time out of your life to do some sort of physical activity, and it shouldn't even be separate from your kids if you don't want it to. You know, you could even be a part of you guys spending time together and even teaching them how to do it. And like you said, you know, you didn't like running. Nothing wrong with that. I never liked football. I could never understand why this country is so football mad. I don't get it.
I don't get it either. It's fine.
And growing up, tried so hard to like football because everyone seemed to love it. And now it's like, you know what, you can like your physical activity. You can like, it can be anything, you know, it can be like Pilates, it can be physio, it can be yoga. All of these are good for you. And actually, they are more enjoyable for you making that decision to do these rather than doing them for the sake of others. So, I mean, it's been great to chat with you. I've loved having this discussion, but I definitely want to hear from you in the future that you've been doing physical activities with your kids, because that would just make me happy. That would just make me so happy.
They'll be little yogis in no time.
Yeah, I'm sure they'll be great. Thank you for your time, Cherise, and it was lovely to chat with you today.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thanks.